When it comes to horse racing, you can never have too much information. With TwinSpires, you can place your bets with confidence, whether you use handicapping insights like our Brisnet speed ratings, prime power and past performances, the guidance of our experts' top picks, or just choose a name that catches your eye. Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with TwinSpires. And now you can share the thrill with friends using our exclusive Bet Share feature.
We're back with the TwinSpires Jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James Scully and Darin Zoccali to talk our best bets and fades of the week for Churchill Downs opening weekend. We also have some Keeneland and Oaklawn to talk about as well. And Darin, I'll start things off with you today. Tell me what your best bet of the week is and where you're going to play that.
Oh, it's good to have you guys back. It was a little bit weird being a one-man jury last week. So, yeah, I'm going to look at Churchill Downs, obviously the opening day card, great card on tap. Race number 4, Turf Sprint Allowance here. Number 7, Counter Strike, giving a little bit of value here at 6-1 for trainer John Ennis, who potentially has his first Derby starter in Encino coming up next week. Counter Strike is making his second start back off the layoff. His debut for 2024 over the turf at Keeneland was solid enough where he finished third that day with rider Eric Morales aboard. That's him down on the inside here with the green cap. He came out of post position number 1, and he's going to be relatively even here. He's just going to kind of finish on with the horses in front of him. But this is a horse that I think is likely to improve in his second start over the turf, second start back off the brief layoff. He broke from the inside that day. I think from post 7, he could work out a much better stalking trip from this outside post. He's a proven commodity over the turf, 6 for 10 lifetime in the money. John Velasquez is listed to ride here as well. And he does have a solid effort, beating just a neck against entry-level allowance company at Churchill last spring. So Counter Strike is our best bet of the day, Ashley.
I like that pick, Darin. That race at Keeneland last time, that Mo Stash just loves that turf course. He won a deep Transylvania last year, grade 3 Transylvania over that course. It was his first start since then. I thought he ran terrific to win. Counter Strike won't be facing any rivals like Mo Stash on Saturday night. And you referenced that Nick third last spring going 5.5 furlongs at Churchill. That high front that beat Counter Strike in that race came right back to win a stakes race at Canterbury Park. So that was a good field, a really good effort over the turf course. My best bet's going to come in the Roxalana Stakes later on the card Saturday evening at Churchill Downs. Number 3, Speedy Traveler in the Roxalana is my best bet. Now, Speedy Traveler debuted on December 31st, New Year's Eve at Fairgrounds, and was bet down to odds on and basically just led wire to wire pretty convincingly. Real sharp performance at first asking. This 4-year-old filly came back 5 weeks later and, I thought continued to show more. She, once again, easily dispatched an entry-level allowance field, and the filly she beat by 5 lengths at second came right back to easily win her next start at that level. So beat a good rival that day. Here in her last outing, this was her next to last outing, but in her last outing, Speedy Traveler really put her early speed on display. I think she's the quickest member of the field. And the one thing about these speed horses is that they need to use their speed early. I love the way she could just get into a cruising rhythm despite running extremely fast in all 3 starts. And Phil Bauer did real well at Churchill Downs last year. He's pointing his horses to this meet. So I look for Speedy Traveler. I don't think this field really came up that deep. I think she's a future stakes type, and this is a good spot. She's in good form for her to make her stakes debut on Saturday night, Ashley.
And I'll be talking about the morning line favorite in the fade section. There's a lot of early speed in this race, and I'll talk about a vulnerable favorite in our next segment. For my best bet, though, I'm going with number 1, Miss Lizzie at 6-1 in the Royal Heroine Stakes. It's a grade 3 turf event at Santa Anita. And this is a classic Empire filly who she got her start at Turfway, then came over to Santa Anita, tried the turf, and won immediately at 6 furlongs. She's done pretty well at this track. She has 3 wins, 3 seconds, and a third from 9 starts. And she's raced at today's distance twice. And she's got a win and a third at a mile. Now, actually, her stablemate is 5-2 on the morning line, but I feel like shorter distances. So the stablemate's an early speed type. Miss Lizzie's a late runner, and I think she's going to get up and rally late to win this race here for Doug O'Neill, who's also a 14% winner going from back-to-back sprints to a route. So I'm going with the longer price here from the Rail Post and Miss Lizzie. Also 3 very tough fillies and mares from Phil D'Amato's barn as well, but go with that 6-1 price here. I know, Darin, you were looking at Bella Bell, who we were surprised was 5-1 on the morning line.
Yeah, I thought she was going to be shorter for sure. Bella Bell is going to be forward in here. Look for her to get back to the race 2 back that she ran potentially in the megahertz. But, I think about her third place effort in the QE2 last year, beaten 2 lengths by Gina Romantica, who would probably be 3-5 against this field. She was second in the Grade 1 Del Mar Oaks. She had a win in the San Clement. Just think that she's a really talented filly. And if she works out a good trip, probably just stalking right off the pace, she could get first run. I don't know. That 5-1 seems pretty ambitious. If we get that, I don't know if I'm going to have enough money for Derby weekend about how much I bet on her. But yeah, I like Bella Bell quite a bit.
Hey, you'll be watching that race on your phone, Ashley, while you're following the Kentucky Derby and Oaks Draw, too. I think that race is going to be going right around the same time.
Yeah. A lot going on that day. All right, let's talk about the horses we're fading at a short price. So, James, who do you have?
I'm going to fade number 4, Holy Gata, in race number 7 at Churchill Downs on Saturday night. And this is a 4-year-old filly for Chad Brown, needed 5 starts. The PP show 6, but one of them was a non-contest. But she needed a bunch of races last fall to finally break her maiden at Kentucky Downs. I didn't think she beat a very strong group that day. And since that win, she has come back with 3 consecutive runner-up efforts, 2 of them as the favorite. I think Holy Gata is just the type that really needs everything to go right for her to wind up in the winner's circle. I think the competition will be a little bit tougher in this spot than she's been facing in recent starts. And, she's a one-run closer, like I said, who's got to get the perfect trip. And I think she's going to prove vulnerable at short odds in race number 7, Darin.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In fact, when I was actually sending in my picks, this was my fade. And then I saw that you had already sent Holy Gata in, so I had to go back to the drawing board. So obviously I'm in lockstep with you there. But there's another favorite that I didn't like too much on the card. Race number 5 at Churchill on Saturday, a $40,000 claiming race. Wesley Ward sending out Bledsoe, who, if you remember, won upon debut as a 2-year-old last year at Keeneland. And then the 3 subsequent tries have just gone completely in the wrong direction. And my angle here is pretty simple. I don't like Wesley Ward horses when they go off form. When horses from Wesley Ward don't keep their form, they run on turf, they run on dirt. Now they show up for a $40,000 tag in a spot like this, coming off of a race where he really didn't show much of anything. He had a very slow work. I watched the video of it the other day. Didn't impress me at all. So I think Bledsoe, who's going to probably take a lot of money here just based on the connections, is going to, and the drop in class, I think is very vulnerable. And I think you could probably spread against the 2 favorites in here and maybe find some value in some of the multi-race exotics, Ashley.
Yeah, when Wesley Ward has a first-time starter at Keeneland, absolutely, you should probably back the horse. But in this case, no, totally off form, bad speed figures, and a new rider here as well. And I'm going to go back to the race that James talked about earlier, and it's the Roxalana. And number 6, Dazzling Blue, is the 3-1 morning line favorite here. Now, she has faced Graded Stakes Company in her last 3, and she does have 2 very dominant wins at Churchill Downs in from her first 3 starts. She had 2 at Churchill, won by several lengths, and she's coming back to this track that she likes a lot. But she's one of the early speed horses in this field, and there's a lot of early speed. She's going to get challenged for that early lead, and she's a need the lead type. So I'm looking to play against her here. James gave you a pick. I also think there's some late runners in the field, Zeitlos and Lastly, for both closers that could potentially, run into a hot pace here. And I also think Socially Selective, who's going to stalk the early pace, is an interesting runner for Bill Mott as well. So a lot of different choices in this field, but definitely a chance to stand against a favorite that's going to take a lot of money because she's from Brad Cox's barn as well.
Yeah, she tailed off last fall. Doesn't have a race back. That's a gut type I also like to play against, especially considering, like you referenced, the first 3 races are wire-to-wire wins, and then all of a sudden she doesn't have any early speed at all, essentially rating. She was next to last in her last start at the first call, so she went off form last year, and I'm going to play against her. I hope she gets bed down.
Yeah, the only thing I'll mention is that making the lead against whether it be maidens or allowance company or listed stakes is different than making the lead against, grade 2 type runners, which is what she's been facing in each of the last couple of starts. The race up at Saratoga, the Prioress, the winner that day ran a hole in the wind. She was never getting out in front of that filly that day. So I don't necessarily know if she's going to return back to that form, considering she's not facing as strong a group as she has in the last three. But I would like to see her return to form because after her first three starts, I thought that she was a potential superstar in the making. So we'll see what comes with. I don't blame you for taking a shot against her, though, because off the layoff, off form, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, her speed figures dropped about 10 points in her last two races, but she is coming off that long layoff, so we don't really know what we're going to get in her first start back from that. I think it's about 5 or 6 months that she hasn't raced since then. So we'll see, but definitely a chance to take a stand against a favorite in this particular race. Well, before we move on to what else is going on this weekend, Darin, what promos do we have for maybe opening night or Derby week?
Yeah, obviously we're going to talk about Derby week. The big one is the money back offer. We actually are adding a night of racing to the money back. Last year it started on Tuesday of Derby week. We're throwing in opening night. So it's going to run from this Saturday, April the 27th, all the way through the last race on Kentucky Derby Day. $10 money back second and third. In order to get the money back for second, there's got to be at least 5 horses. In order to get the money back for third, there has to be at least 8 horses. Be sure to go to the offers page at TwinSpires.com or our app and opt in so you could take part in the money back. And these funds will come in within minutes of the race going official. So you'll be able to churn that money and put it right back in through the windows, and you're not waiting 2 or 3 days for the money to get back. So that's definitely going to be helpful for our players. And Thursday of Derby week, we have our Thurby Thursday leaderboard contest, $2,500 up for grabs to give you a little bit extra bankroll going into Oaks and Derby Day. Free contest to enter. All you have to do is make at least a $10 win wager throughout the day on all the races at Churchill Downs. If you finish first, second, or third, you're going to earn points. You can watch yourself climb that leaderboard and claim a stake of the $2,500. And as we launch our way towards having tournaments and contests in the future, buy-in tournaments and NHC and BCBC qualifiers, which is not too far away here at Twin Spires, we're going to give you a little leaderboard excitement on Kentucky Derby week. We're just focused on Derby, so we're just going to throw those two up there. There are other offers, though, so be sure to go to our promotion page and check them out.
I love the Thurby leaderboard Thursday. We do it every Thursday, but it starts on Thurby. But that's just free money, and the thing about it is that if your picks win, you're actually betting your own money on it. So you have an opportunity to win twice if you go out there and pick some winners. So great contest.
And Darin, I'll stick with you. Tell me what else you're watching for this weekend.
Yeah, actually on Friday at Keeneland, closing day, they have the Bewitch Stakes, and it marks the return of the tremendous mare, now age 7, Warlike Goddess. What a great story she is, still running at the top level. She was third in the Breeders' Cup Turf a couple of years ago at Keeneland. This is her 4th crack at the Bewitch Stakes. She's won the previous 3 runnings, so it's one of those cool stories. Obviously, from a class standpoint, she lays over the field. It's kind of been her return to the races each of the last 3 years. You're going to get a look at her. This is back in the Turf Classic last year, where she actually beat the boys, and she's going to win this race from far off the pace. But just such a cool mare. She's got an electric turn of foot, and now beginning her age 7 season. Excited to have Warlike Goddess back, returning to the races to launch another campaign that hopefully ends up with a Breeders' Cup performance at the end of the year, guys.
It's really hard to play against her. I tried to find another horse I thought had a chance.
Yeah,
I might go
tough.
Princess. Yeah, I feel like
she has a real affinity for the course.
Yeah.
I mean, she ran well there in the Breeders' Cup Turf. She loves Keeneland's turf and Belmont's or Aqueduct.
I'd maybe go Lovely Princess if you're looking to get creative there. But, I mean, 3 straight wins in this race, probably getting a 4th. So, well, James, what are you watching for?
My what else is just going to surround this opening. I'm going to be on the look at Churchill Downs for horses. Churchill Downs main track, especially the first 2 weeks, favored horses on the inside part of the track and forwardly placed. So I'll be looking for horses that to play horses that rallied wide and perhaps didn't win, but at least performed respectably at a price. I mean, this is really, I'm looking for value plays in both of these angles. And then the second one is a fade type angle where I'll be looking to play against horses at short odds that ran really well on the lead and were on the best part of the track, taking advantage of favorable circumstances. There's a couple horses entered on this opening night program, one in race 1 that's dropping in class, and one in race 8 that just looks really good off of the rally and really good off of rally and second. They're both short priced horses. I'm looking to get value at these plays, even if I only hit 1 or 2 at big odds or play against a big favorite. The opportunity will present itself during the course of the first few weeks of the Churchill Downs meet. So I'll be watching for Keeneland horses that either took advantage or raced against the track flow, the track bias at Keeneland's main track.
Do you have any from the Ashland or the Bluegrass that stood out to you?
Oh, I do. I mean, I thought I mean, Candy got the worst of it. She's probably not going to get in the Oaks. I thought she had a really good work yesterday. But just FYI, I mean, she got caught wide too off the turn, about 5 pass wide, and she did rally for second. But I think she's going to move forward off that effort and runs much better in the Kentucky Oaks.
And her workout the other day was spectacular.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is the exact workout that everybody watching these Derby horses wants to see from their Derby workout. That gallop out was brilliant. And one thing about just FYI, she's got I like her size. I mean, I think she's really powerful, and she's got the tactical speed to make her trip in a field that doesn't have a lot of pace, Ashley and Darin.
I am sad. I'm probably not going to get to use that future wager on Candied anymore, but I really did think she'd have a chance to bounce back if she made the field. Who knows? But probably not going to happen for me. Well, I'm going to finish the show talking about Oaklawn with the Bachelor Stakes. We have a competitive field of 7 3-year-olds, and a few of them were Triple Crown nominated and part of the road to the Kentucky Derby. But now cutting back to a sprint distance, you've got Valentine Candy is the morning line favorite and has been sticking to sprint distances for Steve Asmussen. He'll probably take a lot of money because he's 3 for 3 at Oaklawn. Then you have the Triple Crown nominees in Bergen. You have Market Street and Time for Truth. And I'm going with Bergen here, who just raced in the Gotham and tired to finish 8th in that race. But cutting back to 6 furlongs, had a win in the Jimmy Wingfield at that distance, racing in the mud as well. And we have rain in the forecast for Oaklawn, so probably getting a muddy track. So if you're looking to play against Valentine Candy in this race, go with Bergen for Brad Cox. I didn't want to play Brad Cox at Churchill Downs, but I will play him at Oaklawn this weekend.
Yeah, I like that play. I like the angle, at least playing against Valentine Candy. I didn't like his last effort. I didn't understand why he was in that race.
And really a lot of early speed there. So Bergen's really the only late runner, and I think has a chance to get the right pace to close late here. There's the replay. I was
going to say, off this race, I actually bet him in the Gotham, so I lit that money on fire pretty quickly. But no, on the cutback, I agree with you. I still think this is a very nice runner. I mean, he obviously relished the off track this particular day. I think getting back to sprinting is definitely going to help him. And I think he's got a pretty bright future as a 3-year-old sprinter as well. I think you're onto something here.
I love that race. I like the horse that ran 3rd in that race on Friday. So I'm keen on that Jimmy Wingfield.
All right, well, that's all the time we have today. I will see you all in Louisville for Kentucky Derby Week. It's about to really amp up starting on Saturday with opening night. And wanted to remind you all of the morning work shows at 7:25 a.m. every day through Derby. We have Rosie Napravnik joining Joe Christofek at the desk tomorrow, and we'll be there through Sunday. We also have contenders videos on our TwinSpires YouTube page, so you can check out our Derby contenders and some of the Oaks contenders as well. And then we will have a special live jury on Monday afternoon, an early jury next week because of Derby week, and we'll be very busy at the track. So be sure to tune in on Monday. We'll be talking Derby, Oaks, and other races on Churchill's card as well. We'll see you next time.